We are back looking at prion disease and asking the question, could this be linked to domestic dog ownership? Because prion disease is on the rise. All of the symptoms for that disease are on the rise. And so is dog ownership. Dogs used to be an outside animal, and now we're shoving them in every freaking single bedroom apartment. So I want to remind my viewers before we look at this prion specific stuff that dogs are already a well-established vector for many zoonotic diseases. So this is a conversation that is long been needing to be talked about. A big part of why dogs are disease vectors is because they attract lots of parasites, ticks and fleas, and many other ones. And if you look up in some of the other information, let me do another blue highlight over here to the right. Arthropods are also supported by dogs. So, not to mention rats, cockroaches. They're all attracted by the stuff that dogs leave in our environment. The feces, the urine, the food, all that kind of stuff. So, dogs are a disease vector. And we should probably look at this because it doesn't just affect dogs, it affects humans and livestock and everything else. And once our livestock get sick enough with this prion disease, everybody's so worried about cattle being taken over by Chinese farms or other stuff like that. They'll just mandate that the cattle just all get killed once the prion disease hits them, because it's mad cow disease. It's folded proteins that get past their blood-brain barrier. So with prion disease, it's very underdiagnosed. But a lot of the symptoms that lead up to it are neurological disorders. And if you look at any of these disorders, Alzheimer's, stroke, migraines, and other stuff like that, they're all on the rise. They're all increasing at a crazy rate. Behavioral problems, mental health problems, weird twitching, neurological issues, it's all on the rise. And all of these symptoms that are in our society right now are like the pre-symptoms to prion disease, to the brain disease. So let's look at some of those symptoms. Ataxia, aphasia, confusion, insomnia, memory loss, movement disorders, personality changes, depression, anxiety. These are all neurological symptoms that people that die from the brain disease, from prion disease, these are all symptoms that they have in their life. And they can easily be just diagnosed as, well, we'll just give them some antidepressants or some more dogs and other stuff. Like I mentioned, dogs are attracted to rats. Rats are attracted to dogs. All of the food that's left out for dogs. Well, rats can be infected with these prions too. So it's just a vector on top of a vector. Prions are being shedded by the sick animals, and then they go from animal to animal. And here's the underdiagnosis of this that I'm talking about. It's underdiagnosed due to its rarity and similarity of other symptoms, neurological conditions, which can lead to misdiagnosis. Definitive diagnosis requires brain tissue analysis. So, every time somebody dies when they have dementia or other neurological problems, they're not going to do advanced autopsies to figure out how many years that they've had this thing making holes in their brains. And so a lot of people can die and never be diagnosed with this, even though they have it. And they can have it for 10 and 20 years and even more before it finally crosses the blood-brain barrier enough to do damage to their brain. So we're talking about flies, right? Yep. So flies can propagate prions. Here it is. Many sources. Even NIH has a study about it, how flies have transported these prions, and where do we find flies? Always around dogs, dog feces. Wherever the dogs go, there's tons of flies, and there's tons of food for the flies too, because they get into the dog's water, the dog's food. They land on the dog feces and transport that nastiness all around our neighborhoods. Ticks, I've mentioned ticks a lot of times, but they're commonly found on dogs, and they can transmit various diseases. those prions that are on dogs, they can get picked up by other insects and transported to other dogs, transported to surfaces or surfaces. They can land on someplace in your house and just live there for a long time. And yep, here's the research on that. Ticks can carry the prions. So there we go. So now we're over here at a study. I'm going to read part of the conclusion, but notice what they say right here. Profound uncertainties we are still facing concerning the new zoonotic abilities of prion diseases. So what they're saying here is really they don't know. They don't understand. They don't understand how these things are getting transmitted. And so, all of this stuff about dogs maybe don't transport it and dogs don't get sick by it, all the stuff that you're going to hear is just a bunch of bullshit. They're not looking at this through the fact that dogs create all types of vectors for this disease to get onto people. And admittedly, in many of these studies, they don't know. But they do admit, though, that we have to take measures to implement stuff to prevent human exposure to these pathogens. And if you look in these studies, like I showed you guys this before, but just do a keyword search for zoonotic, and it tells you all about the zoonotic potential of this. And the name of this study is called Animal Prion Disease, the Risk to Human Health. And it talks about how in 1996, they realized that this disease used to be considered a negligible human risk. But in 1996, they discovered that's not true. And part of that's linked to the mad cow disease. So, people are already trying to discuss this. And so here's the study. And prions can last on surfaces for years, actually. I found a bunch of studies that show this. So, the dogs can transport these, and where are some surfaces that end up causing the prion disease? Well, guess what? During surgery. So we're putting dogs up in hospitals more and more all over the place. More and more people that work in hospitals are probably coming from their one-bedroom apartment that has 3 dogs in it. So if you have prions from those dogs went out in the woods and sniffed the feces of some other animal, or you're giving your dog that raw meat diet like everybody's doing, you could easily be bringing these prions into the surface of the hospitals. And notice what it even says: standard sterilization methods often fail to eliminate them. So people are going to say that they washed their dog and cleaned their dog after it ate another dog's poop or ate some bird poop. Everywhere these dogs go, they're shoving their nose in whatever random pile of feces that they can. And they're bringing that all into your car and your hands and everything else. So this could easily be getting into hospitals through contact with dogs. All the effluvia and dander and microparticles could easily have some of that folded protein on it, the prion. And despite canids being seemingly immune to this folded protein, they can still transport it. There's plenty of studies. I got a summary from 2 of the studies right here. But canids such as dogs and wolf can do it. They can transport it. The study that I showed you in my previous video talks about this. But look what it says. It can be carried in their feces after consuming infected animals. So all it takes is eating some deer shit or getting your nose in some other animal feces, and the dogs can be propagating it. I mean, dogs are constantly eating their own feces or another dog's feces too. And these folded proteins can live a long time and just get carried around. I'll put this study right here in the description. But this talks about how these prions can get into the soil and basically go anywhere. Runoff water, all that stuff. So, I mean, cities have lots of problems with dogs pooping all over the place. And then the bacteria and stuff from those dogs shows up in other water sources. So I mean, there is um there is no way that these prions are being stopped by the soil because they're more powerful than bacteria. They last for years on surfaces. So dogs can easily be a vector for this, and then they can easily just basically squirt it, transport it, eat it, refeces it out all over our environment. I'll just show you my quick keyword search on this, but we're looking at the word water. In all in this study, they find it in water samples. Water, 16 results. And so, I mean, the dog can go. Dogs are always licking water up off, everywhere, right? And they're always pissing everywhere. Like stray dogs, like in Texas, one of the highest concentrations of stray dogs. Also, one of the highest concentrations of this disease in deer. Weird. So that has been our second look at this prion disease and how it seems like dogs could easily be a vector for this. And all the information out there is out there, and it'll be in the description. Hope you guys like it. Talk to you later.